So let's get into it.
Do it. Let's do this.
So the game we decided to review, it just came out. So as of this recording, you can go and get it right now. Is Silt by Spiral Circus. It is available on all platforms. It is not on Game Pass, if I remember right, because I don't remember playing on a Game Pass. So what is Silt? Silt is a surreal, and I'm reading this description straight, so just letting you guys know. Silt is a surreal underwater puzzle adventure game. Alone in an underwater abyss, you are a diver searching the deep to uncover long-forgotten memories. Possess the creatures around you to solve puzzles and travel further into the darkness. Kyle?
That's me.
You are fresh with finishing the game. You're like fresh, like within the past
few
3 hours, a few minutes even. Yeah. Now I finished it as well. So since your thoughts are a bit more fresh, just finishing it, what are your like raw thoughts? Because I've had time to think about it.
I think I made the mistake of comparing this game to Inside when I first saw it, because the art, the tone of it looks very much like Inside.
Sure.
When you start it, the sounds are very atmospheric, like Inside provides. And I don't know. Maybe there was inspiration drawn from that game, but the game is different from Inside. So as soon as I started playing into that, I wiped that out of my system completely. I really enjoyed my time with it. I this day and age, being a dad, a husband, and I work full time, I appreciate the games that aren't 40 hours long.
Sure. So
this game took me maybe just a couple hours to beat, and so I really appreciate that. Now, as far as the gameplay goes, it's a puzzle game. You're underwater, diving deep into the sea, coming across creatures that are ferocious and hideous and weird, and I loved every bit of that. So yeah, I really enjoyed my playthrough with this, and because it's not very long, I'll probably enjoy playing through it again in the future. Which I think games that tend to do that tend to cut it a little shorter than they need to are smart, because you play more and more of a game, and I don't want to call it a simple game, because the game it gets very challenging, especially towards the end, where they cut it off shorter than maybe they need to. It allows you to walk away from it feeling like, that was a good experience. I didn't feel like it was overplayed. So I really appreciated what Spiral Circus did with this game. So I don't know, what were your impressions of it?
So my first impression booting up the game was, and I expressed this to you and you agreed as well. It looks like a Tim Burton movie.
Yeah. Like
very gothic like, and the way the art style was, I loved it. Every single creature, the animation, I loved it all, because it was just all unique and also creepy, but not too like grotesque or anything, but it was everything was within the world. Yeah, it was eerie, and everything fit into the world that they were trying to build and tell. And as you said, it does get challenging towards the end, which I did appreciate, because some of those puzzles, they were pretty tough. Even once I figured out what to do, it was also hard to execute sometimes. So just, this is chapter, I can't remember if this is 3 or 4, but it's towards the end, where you have these like worm-like creatures that come out and grab you and eat you.
Yeah.
It took me forever to finish the first time, where you have to get by like 4 of them to get these amoeba-like creatures to kill them. It took me forever to do that. I'm like, I know what to do, but it took me forever.
Yeah, so I was thinking about that. With a game that's so short, is it a problem having puzzles like that, where it does take you a handful, if not more than a handful of times, trial by error to get through it?
No, in my opinion. I think if it's a longer game, it's harder. That's why Souls-like games kind of turn me off, because they are longer, and I don't have time to play even I don't have a family, but still, even a 40 to
Right.
60 hour game still is daunting to, even with just because I have a full time job and I have other games I want to complete as well,
Right.
you know? So, I mean, even with the difficulty of Silt towards the end, it still only took me like a couple hours to complete. So it wasn't even like a big of a deal anyway.
Yeah.
And you feel rewarded once you finish it too.
Yeah, you really do. I don't want to dive into the ending as far as only the spoiler territory, but I will say that it left me almost feeling, I'm going back to Inside, almost just kind of questioning at the end of the game.
Yes.
Of like, what did I just play through? What is the meaning of this?
Mm-hmm.
And I need to play it again.
Yeah.
To kind of replay through everything and as I'm going through. The environment, the artwork by Tom Mead is beautiful. I will tell you, it's one of the more engaging and beautiful environments I've played in a game in a while.
Mm-hmm.
It grasps your attention right from the beginning. And underwater games, or games with underwater sections, with regards to like Echo the Dolphin, are not good. And Echo's challenging too, but I'm just saying, like, you know, is there really a game that you look back and you think, man, that was a fun game where you're playing underwater?
The only one I can think of off the top of my head, and this is just literally off the top of my head, is Subnautica. That's the only one I can think of.
Okay. Yeah, I guess with exception of that. Okay.
I mean, but other than that,
prove me wrong.
but still, you still have a good point though. I mean, there's quite a few underwater games out there that's just like, or even games that have underwater levels. They're just not done right. They're not fun. Mm-hmm. Whereas Silt, I felt like the physics were consistent. They weren't too hard to grasp, and not once did I feel like I was moving too slow or that, you know, the game was making a mistake because of, you know, basically underwater physics. Yeah. I knew it was my fault.
Yeah, most definitely. Maybe the fact that the game itself being underwater is a little slower, controlling your character makes it a little easier.
Possibly.
But they executed that. I got to say the boss fights were, they were very, very good. Very, I couldn't have said it better myself. They were really good. And for those listening, Carrington just put his fingers to his lips and
I did a chef's kiss.
The chef's kiss. And the boss designs. I mean, mm-hmm. I'm telling you, super creative. And whenever you rip the light out of those creatures, it's like you just feel overpowered. It's so cool. So
absolutely. Cool. And it's funny because there was only one boss I felt like wasn't really a boss, and I think that was chapter 2, the weird spider-like thing with the tree on top of it.
Oh yeah,
that was the only one that I felt like that was like the easiest boss out of the 4.
Can we talk about the birds inside that tree?
Oh my god. I couldn't tell if they had hands or if they were wings.
Right. And it looked like that they were wearing almost like a plague doctor type. So I didn't know if it was like people, like bald people. I don't know. I couldn't tell, but it was so weird.
People so listening, we're describing this, and they're probably like, "What?
What are you talking about?" Yeah. Maybe we could flash a picture. I don't know.
I'll see what I can do. I'm pretty sure I got footage of that, so I'll flash it up on the screen right now. Because I did try to make sure to get plenty of footage for this game. Because
there's a lot to see.
Very absolutely, much. And the environments are just good lord, and you can tell they put a lot of work into the detail, into trying to tell the story with the environments, because there's no dialogue in the game. The only I guess writings in the game is at the very beginning. When you start it up.
It's like they've got a poem at the very beginning.
And that poem is very essential to the entire world, which after finishing it, when I restarted the game and saw the poem again, I'm like, oh my gosh, like it was just one of those like, oh my goodness moments.
It's, I don't know, man, it's weird. I feel like the game is split into 2 different environments, because you got your main world where you're puzzling through and you're fighting bosses, and then you've got, after each boss, you've got this mechanical, steampunkish type world with weird artifacts and weird statues and stuff that You're trying to figure out what it is, and I I walk away from this game questioning what is everything in this world.
So for those listening, I will make probably like a more in-depth spoiler-filled video about this, because I've had time to. I had that same reaction after I finished it, and after thinking about it and like pondering about it and like replaying it again, I feel like I have thoughts I want to get out there, because I didn't know what to think as soon as I finished it. I'm like, I don't know what. I had that same feeling when I play games like this or Inside, because like you said, outside of like the genre that they're in, they're two completely different games at the same time.
Yeah. They both fit into that genre, but they're different. Completely different.
So it's just one of those things. It's like, I've got thoughts, and I don't want to put them here, because if you're listening or you're watching this, definitely go out and get it. It's like $10. It's not expensive. Like I said, it's available on all platforms. Again, the name is Silt, from Spiral Circus, and they did one heck of a job with this game. And I feel like these smaller games like this, they tend to have, well, not smaller games, let's just say shorter games like this, tend to have a lot more detail in them than I feel like other games do. Even indie titles that are longer, you can tell every single thing has a very specific place. Every single thing was meticulously thought about, and so it just brings out the world more. It engrosses you a little bit more.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I'm excited because with Summer Game Fest that we had recently, there is at least a couple games that we've seen that are in, like you said, this genre. Last week you talked about it. You said we're seeing more of these kind of games being developed, and I'm excited for it. So kudos to Spiral Circus for making a fun game. And I'm excited to see what they have for the future of us. I'm excited to see if there's going to be any DLC for this game as well. You can honestly make a big open tank and put all the fish in it, and I'll just swim around and play around with their little abilities, or do like a boss, like a boss selector.
Like
go
boss,
back and replay some of the boss battles. So
that would be cool. Before we give our ratings, I do want to say really quick how I did scream at one point because out of scared. I don't like. I don't know if I would call this a horror game per se, but it does have some horror elements to it.
Yeah.
And that puzzle I brought up earlier with the long worm-like creature that ate you, had no idea it was even there. So when I went by it,
one snapped you.
As soon as it grabbed me, I went, ah!
That's funny. That's hilarious.
So yeah, I think with all that said and done, I personally probably give this probably an 8.5 out of 10.
I was thinking the same exact thing. Yeah, 8.5 out of 10. Wow, we're on the same wavelength here.
Same wavelength. Great minds, man. Great minds.
We think alike. So yeah, Spiral Circus. Yeah, we are. Hopefully, you'll hear some stuff from us and the team shortly. Just keep your eyes peeled. And thank you for making a really fun and beautiful game.
Absolutely. And we also look forward to your next project, whatever it may be.